So, you're thinking about buying property in Romania. That's fantastic. But there's one document that can make or break the entire deal, and getting it wrong can cost you a whole lot more than just your dream home. Today we're diving deep into the pre-contract.
You know the scene. You've found the perfect place, the excitement is building, and the agent slides a document across the table with those 5 little words. Just sign here, it's standard. It's so tempting to just grab the pen, right? But hold on, what are you actually about to put your name on?
Well, let me be absolutely clear. That document, it is anything but standard. It's a serious, legally binding agreement, and if you don't understand every single word, you could literally lose your entire deposit.
And listen, the stakes are only getting higher. With apartment prices in Romania set to jump by an average of 13% in 2025, we're talking about a serious amount of money on the line. Your money. So yeah, getting this right is kind of crucial.
Okay, so let's get into what we're calling the standard document trap. We're talking about the Antecontract, that's the Romanian word for it, or the pre-contract. Honestly, it's probably the most misunderstood and frankly, the most potentially dangerous document in the entire process.
So, what is this thing really? Let's strip it all back and look at what its official job is in this whole property buying journey.
Okay, so formally, the Antecontract is a binding promise. It's governed by the Romanian Civil Code, which means it has real teeth. It legally forces you and the seller to go through with the sale down the road based on the terms you agree on right now. It doesn't make you the owner yet, but believe me, it creates some very, very real legal obligations.
And that really brings up the key difference here. Think of the pre-contract not as the final sale, but as the blueprint for the final sale. Its whole purpose is to create the obligation to sell and buy. It locks everything in. The final contract? That's the last step, the one that actually hands over the keys and makes you the owner.
So you might be thinking, if it's not legally required, why does everyone use it? Well, it's all about practicality. You, the buyer, need time to get your mortgage approved. In fact, banks almost always require a pre-contract before they'll even process your loan. And sometimes the seller needs time to sort out their own paperwork. It's the essential bridge that gets everyone from the initial offer to the final handshake.
All right, let's dissect this thing. We're going to look at the anatomy of the agreement. You can think of these clauses as the DNA of your deal. Every single detail matters, and a small change can have a massive impact down the line. Now, these are the absolute must-haves. For this document to even be valid, it has to spell out exactly who's buying, who's selling, precisely what property is being sold, for how much, and by when. It also has to clearly state the consequences if someone backs out. And, this is so important, it needs to include any suspensive conditions. These are your escape hatches, like making the whole deal dependent on you actually getting your mortgage approved. And I can't stress this enough. That little clause is so vital. Imagine this. You sign a pre-contract, but there's no suspensive condition for your mortgage. Then, the bank says no. Well, without that clause, you could be legally considered in default of the contract, and poof, your entire deposit is gone. It's a shockingly common and incredibly expensive mistake. This brings us to what might be the single most important financial detail in the whole document. It's all about the type of deposit you're paying. The legal difference between these two words we're about to see is just enormous.
So you're paying some money up front. But what is it, legally speaking? Is it a confirmatory deposit, which is called an Arvunǎ, or is it just an advance payment, an Avans? It sounds like a tiny detail, but trust me, the word they use in that contract changes absolutely everything. And here is the whole ballgame. An Arvunǎ is a powerful tool with built-in penalties. If you, the buyer, walk away, you lose it. Fair enough. But, and this is the magic part, if the seller backs out, they are legally obligated to pay you back double. That's right, double your money. An avance, on the other hand, is just a simple advance payment. It doesn't have that built-in protection. If the seller defaults, whether you get your money back and how much depends entirely on how the contract is written, and it's often not in your favor.
Okay, so what happens if things go south? What if one person just refuses to sign the final contract? Let's look at your legal options plus a really important new law that's a total game changer, especially if you're buying a property that isn't even built yet.
So, assuming the pre-contract was drafted correctly, you've got two main moves. First, you can go to court and ask for specific performance, which basically means the judge issues a ruling that acts as the final contract and forces the sale to happen. Or you can go after damages, which, as we just saw, means you can claim double your deposit back if it was an Arvunǎ and the seller flakes.
Now, for anyone buying a new build off-plan, things changed in a big way in December 2025. There was a pretty major scandal with the developer, and in response, the government passed what everyone calls the Nordis Law, and it's all about protecting buyers' money.
This law brought in some serious safeguards. For one, all off-plan pre-contracts now have to be notarized. But the biggest deal is this: your money no longer goes straight into the developer's pocket. It goes into a special, protected bank account, and the funds are only released to the developer as they hit specific, verified construction stages. It completely shifts the risk away from you.
So, we've covered a lot of ground here. After all that, what is the absolute bottom line? What are the most important things you need to walk away with to keep yourself safe? Let's boil it all down.
Here it is, your 3 key takeaways. Number 1, never, ever treat this document as just a formality. The second you sign it, you're on the hook legally. Number 2, the Nordis Law is a fantastic protection for off-plan buyers, but it's not a silver bullet for every situation. You still have to do your homework. And third, and this is the big one, get a lawyer to review the contract before you sign. The cost is tiny compared to the deposit you stand to lose.
Which really leaves us with one final thought. Your dream home and a huge chunk of your savings are on the line. Relying on a so-called standard document isn't a strategy, it's a gamble. So the real question isn't if you should read the fine print, it's who are you going to trust to read it with you?